As they have survived, Sahrawi culture has remained alive. With continued encouragement from the overall Sahrawi population, these nomads may be able to continue their journey across the Saharan sands. After all, desert tradition has it that the best Sahrawis are these nomadic warrior poets. Although most colonized nations are today independent states, the Sahrawis' desire to be free was disregarded when Spain relinquished power over Western Sahara.
We, the Sahrawis living in Spain, recognize that under the infamous tripartite agreement, Spain handed over to Mauritania and Morocco the administration of Western Sahara, but never sovereignty. Spain left sovereignty in the hands of the United Nations so that a fair referendum could be held for the Sahrawi people. For Sahrawis living here in Spain, this gives us much hope.
Sahrawis living in Spain have managed to maintain their identity. They also bring a little of the desert to the Spanish scene.
In spite of the injustices that have been suffered by the Sahrawi people, such as the disappearance of more than 800 Sahrawis, which is recognized by the Human Rights Association of Spain, the Sahrawi people remain united in favor of self-determination and independence for our people.
Sahrawis believe that Spain bears a legal and moral obligation to see that decolonization be completed in Western Sahara.
As early as the 15th century, people from Spain came to the Sahara and explored the territory's coast from Bojador to further south. Since that time, relations were formed between the Sahrawi and Spanish peoples. We Sahrawis have educated ourselves and with our work are contributing to Spanish society. Actually, we are the only Spanish-speaking Arab nation in the world. For these reasons, we have the right to ask that Spain help us and the United Nations in the referendum process underway.
The enthusiasm for democracy burgeoning across the African continent also is emerging in the Sahrawi refugee camps. Demanding democratization before independence, individual Sahrawis have led the way with concrete measures for the achievement of political pluralism.
Over the last 5 years, people have come to realize that the mono-party system, it doesn't fit for our society. Especially those of us who have the chance to travel to the Western countries and to see how democracy is implemented there. So people have started to think about this and to discuss it in private discussions. Those discussions became public, and we started to discuss in conferences and in official meetings, and finally in the Congress people have succeeded to write down those freedoms and rights, fundamental freedoms and rights, and have succeeded to implement them in the new constitutions, which is a constitution inspired on those of the US Constitution, France and Spain.
The Eid-40, or Council of 40, was the ancient system that governed the land where we lived. The council dictated all policies, controlling and resolving matters. Members of the Eid-40 were chosen from among the best Sahrawis. Each member represented one of the Sahrawi clans, with members speaking in council on behalf of their constituents. This is how we manage ourselves. Thus, the democracy that we have today is inherited from the Eid-40.
Currently, the Sahrawis are implementing political reforms aimed at the total democratization of Sahrawi society.
We hope that after achieving our independence, which we hope is not it will be very soon, that after the independence we will have a transitional period, and we hope, I myself hope, a lot of people do, that this period will not be a very long one. And we do hope the Western countries to help us to have a smooth and transitional period to democracy.
Moderating between the West and Islam, Sahrawi elders have played a key role in adapting Sahrawi traditions to new settings.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
By retaining desert customs and celebrating rituals such as holidays, births and marriages, the Sahrawis overcome the harshness of exile.
Marriage is indispensable to any society. It is what draws together and unifies society.
In the camps, wedding feasts are inspired by the nomadic traditions of Sahrawi society. The bride and groom will undertake elaborate personal preparations before embarking upon a new life together.
According to our law and our Prophet Muhammad, the family is the pillar of society. The family creates love and keeps men and women from prostitution.
On the wedding day, elegance of form is desired. The groom styles his own hair. Meanwhile, friends of the bride spend several hours applying henna and preparing her hair. Braiding and elevating the hair is said to increase a Sahrawi woman's height and beauty by extending the vertical line of her face.
A saying from the hadith is that those who wish to have relations should marry, otherwise they should abstain. Marriage also serves to prevent societal corruption. Men need women and women need men.
Friends and relatives of the bride and groom spend the day preparing the wedding feast. As the entire tent neighborhood is invited, some volunteer to cook couscous and pastries, while others round up the musicians, dancers, and guests. Applying henna to the palms, nails, and feet of the bride is a customary women's art, practiced throughout the Sahara, North Africa, and the Near East. This rite of marriage is still another way of enhancing the beauty of the bride on her wedding day. In addition, to set off her black hair and eyes, the bride wears an indigo garment. The groom irons 11 yards of fabric that form his long, flowing desert robes.
To marry requires only 2 witnesses. Both people have to agree to marry and manifest their agreement. Marriage also requires a dowry.
Friends accumulate the token dowry from the local crafts workshop. As the hour of the feast draws near, the groom readies his wedding costume. A local rouge derived from ochre is applied to the bride as facial makeup. During the last-minute preparations, emotions build. The bride and groom have not seen each other all day. Finally, the wedding hour has come. The groom and his wedding party approach. As tradition mandates, they will circle the wedding tent 3 times. take their places, awaiting the arrival of the bride and her party. In the distance, the veiled bride approaches. She must feign resistance before joining her husband. With high morale, future-oriented direction, and practical experience, the Sahrawis have overcome the difficulties of exile. 16 years ago, the United Nations was unable to prevent the exile from Western Sahara. In the first half of 1992, the United Nations is posed to implement a self-determination referendum for the Sahrawi people. They will choose between independence and integration with Morocco. Their only plea is that there be a climate of fairness. The achievements of the Sahrawis during 16 years of exile point to a bright future. The hope of the people of the sand is that the world will pay attention to the Western Sahara at its turning point.